Hey guys, welcome. I'm not seeing anybody here as yet. I wait till I see some person start coming in. Anybody comes in, and then I start. This is my first time actually doing a live. Hopefully, if persons are in, I can see them. I've never done a live on YouTube, and I said, let me start it to see if we can get to know persons a bit better. I've done a couple lives on TikTok and Instagram, but not YouTube. So let's see. So this live is going to be a question and answer. Once people come in and ask any questions that they see fit, they want to ask any questions related to nursing, healthcare, whether nursing back home, Jamaica, Caribbean, nursing internationally, immigration wise, any other thing that you guys want to ask. In the meantime, I'm going to look for some questions that I could ask from my TikTok. Some person sent me some questions from TikTok, so I'm going to research that. I see one person is here so far, and I don't know. I think persons have to comment in the chat so I can see. So I want to scroll through on my TikTok to see if I can find some. And I think I have some questions that some person sent me, and I'm going to ask those questions. So if you're joining the live, it's about nursing, healthcare, whether nursing back home. I'm from Jamaica. Nursing related questions, anything with regards to visa retrogression, migration, any other personal questions that you like to ask, working as a nurse in the United States. What else? Any other questions that you'd like to ask, you can jump in and drop it in the chat. It's going to be an interactive session. I know that I have persons that watch me from Jamaica and know it's 8 p.m. now, Eastern Central, but back home, probably Jamaica wise, it's so 7 p.m. So I'll try to wait until persons come in. If you're watching and you have a question, just type in the chat. Type in the chat and let me know that you're here. If you're watching right now, let me know that you're here. Drop a comment, let me know. It's my first time using this. I'm trying to understand it myself. All right, so I have a TikTok page. So if you follow me on YouTube, I am Empowered RN on Instagram, and also Empowered RN on TikTok. I have been posting content mainly on YouTube, and took a break from TikTok, but may start posting some more content for same. And also, I'm also on Instagram. I'm blocking my camera. So we're going to go back through some questions. So I post a lot on YouTube because YouTube is more long form content and a bit more sustainable. And that's where most other content will be. So I'm going to go through some my TikTok page. A lot of persons always send me questions on TikTok and I answer. I get a couple questions on Instagram also. So persons have been asking me a lot. Um One question that I remember the other day that somebody sent me was can I migrate to the United States with a diploma in nursing? Yes, you can. I answered the person and said yes. Companies do take you with your diploma in nursing and also if you have a bachelor's. I know back home in Jamaica, we used to have diploma programs and they cut it out to the bachelor's, which was 4 years. So diploma was where the nurses would go in and train for I think it was 2 years. And they would put all of that content that would be normally before 4 years in two. And then I don't know what happened. They cut it out. So I don't think any school in Jamaica right now. If you're watching this and you know, you can correct me. I see VC is here. Welcome, VC. Let me know that you're here. Thanks for coming on. I know that back in Jamaica we now have 4-year degree programs. So and if you do have nurses who may have trained prior would have the diploma, you can use that to migrate. The agencies will take you. You may say why? Because in the US they have associate degree of nursing for nurses, which takes 2 years, and also a 4-year degree program in the United States. And if I had the opportunity to go back to do nursing, I would do my associate the 2 years, cut down the money, and just spend 2 years. When you finish, you're still getting the same money whether you have a degree or not. Smarter. So ask me any question, guys, that you want to know. I was going through my TikTok a while ago just to go through some questions, anything related to nursing, not related to nursing, life after migration. You can ask me any questions. Let me know that you're here. I see 4 persons watching. I need to see who is here. I was saying earlier that this is my first time doing a YouTube live. I've never used it. So I was always on TikTok, Instagram. So here we are. Welcome, VC. I have to big up VC. VC is a fellow YouTuber. She was over here before me and always encouraging me, telling me, giving some tips. And VC also inspired me to do a live. But I always keep missing your live. I want you to do a premiere and advertise so I can set up and wait for the live. So VC does a lot of content centered around Jamaica. If you want to know what's happening in Jamaica, different parishes, and she travels around, and you can follow her there. For those who are returning residents or who are just tourists all over the place, you can follow her. I tell her that she needs to set up our tour guide business and then start something from there. All right, so she said, I'll try that next time. No problem. Let me see if I have any other questions. No, I asked me nothing. Uh, so something that I saw today, I saw this news earlier, and is related also to Canada. That Canada's immigration is tightening. I see people making content around that saying that they're closed, and I wouldn't use the word closed. I think they're paused. What is happening? They have a lot of persons that is coming into the country who are immigrants, and I think they're exceeding the amount that they can manage. So what they have done now is cease how many foreign workers they take in different skilled areas. And I saw Jamaica mention some news on this too. So persons, a lot of countries will be affected by this. So if you're in the area of healthcare and another area that they mentioned, they'll be still taking persons. But if you're not in that area, they won't be taking any foreign nationals for those areas. What they're doing now is to make businesses employ Canadian citizens, because there were some issues in terms of employment, taking in too many external persons, and it led to their own people not getting jobs. But healthcare is one area that will be still be recruited for. But if you're in the areas such as any other area not healthcare, they may be ceasing that. So I know Jamaica may be impacted by that in terms of the farm work program and all of those. I'm not sure if they will be impacted, but I did see some news around that. So those are some tightening up that they're doing in terms related to Canada. And I always tell people that in terms of migration across the world and jobs, everything is kind of seizing up now, because a lot of countries across the world are gearing up for elections. US is gearing up for election. UK had theirs. I think Canada is coming up. So a lot of policies are going to be coming in to try to tighten up things. But after that, once everything is settled down, they're still going to be needing people to transition. All right. So hi, Kia. Kia asks, how was your first 3 months transition in America? I love that question. So first 3 months transition in America. Yeah, excited. Woo! I can do work wise and also life wise outside the hospital. Work wise wasn't bad. I think the hospital that I worked at had a good orientation program, and their program lasted for I think it was 12 weeks, and I think theirs was the longest. They also had an international fellowship for international nurses where they do a lot of teaching, a lot of seminars. And if you had questions or concern, you could reach out to them. Transition wise, in terms of community, before I go back to hospital, we had a liaison officer that drove us around, showed us the community, and it was a sense of togetherness. So that really helped. And what made my process a lot more easier was that I had persons who are here from Jamaica already. I had some co-workers who I worked with already. So anything I needed, I could ask them and, tell them like which church can I go to, where can I get so and so, so that made my process very easier. And transition wise in working, I would say that the hardest part for me would be in terms of that you use an electronic system. So the documentation system did take a while for me to adjust to, because everything in Jamaica was paper charting. But we are immigrants, Jamaicans. Once you see and observe and you get used to it, then it becomes nothing. It's the easiest thing. So transition wise for the first 3 months wasn't bad, but financial wise it was a bit rocky, because your first initial months, you're not going to be paid at the rate that you get when you just come, because you're going to be on orientation, so you're going to get orientation pay. But the agency did assist us in paying a rent for the first 2 months, and did assist us in getting a loan, and then we paid them back after I think for a period of 8 months. So that really helped. I was the first person on my unit when I went there for being an international nurse. Then other persons started to come in. When other persons came in, it was persons from Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and then we had somebody from, I think she was from Philippines, but then she came from Ireland. And I think that was it. And when they came and saw me there, they were like, "Girl, how you did this? How are you here by yourself?" And I said to the person that, when you come make a transition to another country, especially here, something that helped me a lot and I developed a lot was mental fortitude. So that's what helped me, mental fortitude. And I said before, if I had any experiences at work where I felt like I wanna, you're gonna have those days where you're crying in your car. I had those nights and, wondering if this is for me, because it did get hard. Because when you transition from Jamaica, I used to do 8-hour shifts, and now I was doing 12s. Yes, you work 3 days a week, and there are some persons who talk about, yeah, you work 3 days a week, you're not supposed to be tired. Let me tell you, working a 12-hour shift is not easy. You get up the morning, put on your clothes, you look like a doll. When you come home, I always say me look like somebody run over me. Tired, sweaty. And it was not easy getting adjusted to. Not to mention your lunch break. I was talking about this with somebody recently. 30 minutes, cut and swallow. Sometimes you have to hold your urine, you can't eat, all of that. But after a period of time, you do time management and learn to adjust. So that wasn't easy. I have to big up one of my co-workers, and I still keep in contact with them from back home. A lot of people say when they transition, they cut off certain people, but that's what helped me. Persons who were from back home or who were here already, and I call a friend of mine and I said to her, I explained to her what I was experiencing, and she said, "Yeah, everybody goes through that." And so, word of advice that she gave me, that every morning when you get up, pray before you go in and pray when you come out. And that's what something that I still practice on to this date. Coverage, blood coverage, and that's helped. Eventually, after 6 months, you become like a boss to the system, start working other places and just moving out. But something that I always say, whatever path you take, somebody always did it before you, and you can do it too. And that was my experience in the first 3 months. So VC said, that's the Jamaicanness. We are born to push. I strongly believe it. We are born to push. I strongly believe that. Any Caribbean, the Africans, them, you think we can push? Check the Africans. I am sorry, but check and not to mention the Asians. We can work. Hi, Casey, inspirational. Night, night. Any other questions? Any other questions? Yeah, as I was saying, that Caribbeans and the Africans we are born to push, because I read an article recently where they were saying that this nurse made, I forgot how much she made for a year, and she was even making more than the CEO of the facility that she was working, and she was doing overtime, right? And everybody in the comment section was saying that must be a Caribbean or an African, and I was saying the same thing. Turns out she was a Haitian. Any other comments, guys? All right, so Casey Inspirational says, given that you experience both systems, which do you prefer? Woo! You're putting me on the spot. All right. I would say um it's 50-50 for me. Which system would I prefer? It's 50-50 in terms that each system comes with its own. I know working in a first world country, you have access to resources. You cannot ball that you don't have resources. There's resources to work with and there's opportunities. And that's one big thing for me. I love that. You're ready to move up, you're ready to grow. You do that on your own. You don't need to go to managers and ask them that. That's something that I struggled with back in Jamaica, asking people just, to direct you or you need permission. So that's one system. And you get paid for your work. You get paid for your work. I think back home for me, Jamaican healthcare system, I think it's very good, and that is proven in how much of our healthcare workers are recruited, not just healthcare, but education. It speaks a lot about the talent that we produce. However, I think the main thing that we're lacking is resources back home, and I've said it, and a lot of my coworkers said it. If we had the resources that other countries had, our care would be top notch, top notch. The other thing why I say it will be 50-50, I like the sense of community that we have back home in terms of team nursing. And that's when we work on a unit, we're a team. When you work other facilities over here, it's individual. Some facilities me, but it's really individual for me. So that's something that I would miss back home in terms of togetherness, community, and just working together. That's something that I miss my home. But I would say that the system here is good. I wouldn't say I prefer anyone, but there are some stuff that each person can learn, each system can learn from. All right. Thank you for that question, Casey. Kia was saying, given what you now know, do you have any financial mistakes that you made as a new immigrant? Baby, whole heap. Financial mistakes that I made. The biggest one I can tell you is that when you go on the program, they give you they have each sponsor sets you up with a person who like a car mart, right? I'm not gonna call the names, but you have one that sell new car and one will sell a used car. Go with the used car. A lot of people will say, yeah, I took the new car. Um, I had my son, he was a baby at the time, so I needed a car initially. When you take the used car, it may take a while. But I saw where financial wise I could have saved so much more if I have not invested in the new car, because the note on the car is pretty much high. And then being a new car, and then once you drive the car off of the lot, the car starts to depreciate. If you can find a good brand car such as Toyota, Honda, and take a used car, the money that you're going to be paying back will be less and you can pay off the car quicker. So I would say that was one of my biggest financial mistakes. And don't focus. I was so hell bent on getting a specific type of car because I love like Honda from Jamaica. So don't be hell bent on brands and them something. Just get a car where can carry you to and fro. To and fro. That's all. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I made. Other mistakes financial wise. I'm trying to think. So my biggest thing, and I still talk about it to this day, to that car. That is one of the biggest mistakes that I made. I'm trying to see any other financial wise. I don't think that was the biggest one for me in terms. Oh, you see when you go shopping, be careful when you buy stuff. Like you see the people will sell you stuff, and they're so good at marketing and sales. Do your research from me before, especially if you go buy the car. I research. I may still get catch though, but I researched how salespeople do and talk when you're going to get a car. But like when you're going to buy like a TV and those things and you're going to certain places, they would do everything just to sell you the TV. Just be careful of that. Because to this day, my friends laugh at me because I did a purchase once and I'm so scared to talk about it, of purchasing something. And I said, based on what the man said, me just buy it because it's so legit. But they were saying that you could get something like for half the price of that. So that's something that I will pay attention to. Another question was, what are some of the cultural shocks that you experience? My first cultural shock would be driving. In Jamaica we drive on the left, here we drive on the right. So that was a big culture shock for me. Eventually, one of my aunt that was living here told me just say stick to the right, and that's something that I did, and that helped. Another culture shock for me is in terms of camaraderie, like when people say good morning and good those manners, depending on where you go, you're not gonna get it back. And that was a big culture shock. The biggest culture shock for me is that you don't address persons by their like you don't say miss or mister. Like when I was talking to my manager, she was telling me to call me by her to call her by her first name, and I said to this date I still say mom. I say I can't do it. I still put the miss before it and mom until sometimes I interchange it. But that was a big culture shock, especially speaking to persons who are older than you. Uh Another culture shock for me was in terms of the food. To this day, I have not adjusted to the food. It's mainly Jamaican food that I still eat. Just not health wise for me. So that was a big culture shock. Like things that would get up and eat for breakfast. Like a dumpling and banana. Especially when you go to conferences, you're getting your little croissants, your little sandwich, and no tea and all of those things. So those were some of my culture shocks, and there are many. Another culture shock in terms of nursing too was that nobody stays in jobs too long. And I think I've gotten so used to it that it's becoming a part of me. Once I see a sign of red flag, like I'm ready to go. You can go to work today and you see like 10 people by the next day. You get up, you see five. Everybody gone. They don't, people don't stay in jobs. Back in Jamaica, we stay in jobs for like 20 odd years, 10 years. But I can say that this new generation that is rising, nobody's doing that. Other culture shocks for me is yeah, we don't wear uniform back home in Jamaica. Like Jamaica, where we wear the white, the stocking, the nursing hats. You wear any color that the hospital tells you to, and it's a scrub. You can even come to work in that scrubbed, crushed. I see people do that. Nobody cares about that. Color your hair, they do talk about your nails and stuff, but you can just, I tell people just show up. Just make sure you have blood running through you. They just want to see hands. Nobody watches that. And that's something that back home we pay a lot of attention to. The hair, I understand that uniformity is important, but I don't see how that helps with patient care. So that's culture shock, another culture shock that I experienced. Another culture shock for me, that would be like church wise. So I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. For me, when we go church over here by 12 o'clock, church finish. We don't really have much afternoon sessions. Church is I saw another person talking about this. Church is way, way, way different. You know. So that was some culture shock for me in terms of that. I talk about driving, the food, clothing. So those were some culture shocks for me. There's some other culture shocks that we can talk about, but I don't want to flag me. Like when I speak about camaraderie, like back in Jamaica when you go to work and people say, "Hey, how you doing?" People and you say, "Boy, I'm there," depend the place again. You hear it's like, "Hey, good morning, how are you?" And somebody talked to me about that, like they didn't like how I approached. They spoke to me when I said good morning, and I said that's how I'm feeling. But it's different. So that's their culture, and it's a bit different. So those are my culture shocks. Any other questions? Any other questions? So 30 minutes. Okay, Casey is saying that though the quality of life can be better there, what is the cost of living like? Cost of living is very high. Very, very high. And that's something that you have to think about anybody that is migrating. You can't just get up out of the blue and say you're going to migrate. You have to watch cost of living. Like you'll hear a lot of people talk online that majority of the times it's just, you're worth the money, but you're still paying a lot of bills. A lot of bills. So you have to be careful with that. I would say cost of living does matches where you live. For persons who live in New York, they get a higher rate to match their cost of living. And then, but even though you may see that, I strongly always tell people that you have to watch the bills that you're going to take on, because even though you may get a high pay, sometimes by you look at the end of after you get your paycheck, your money may be finished and you don't have the ability to save. So you have to watch that. So for me, I would advise people to go where there is a low cost of living per state, and you're going to find that in rural areas, like areas that are a bit far off from the city areas, because big city come with big money. So, when you go to the rural areas, an hour or two from the city, you're able to save more in terms of your rent, in terms of food. Because when you go to the city areas, it is much higher. But I can tell you that cost of living, it's very high. I see a lot of persons complain back home that things are rising, the price of this, it is rising here too. I remember when I just came here, I could take $100 and go to the supermarket and my cart would be full. Now, when you go to the supermarket, you can hardly find like 5 items. Like you take up 5 items, that's $100. So the cost of living is definitely rising. Yeah. So Casey says, wow. So it's rising. I see people complain back home. I said it is here too. Like you literally have to be doing things to stretch. And something that I can share about you, that a lot of nurses here, there was a study that was done that showed, like, I don't remember the percentage, whether it was 60 or 50% of nurses have a side hustle. There must be a reason for that. Not only as a hobby, but there must be a reason for that. I say to people, you work the money, but by the time you work the money, it goes back into bills. Sometimes you end up after picking up another job or two just to make ends meet. So it is hard. I know social media can glamorize a lot of things, influence a lot of things, but reality is it is hard. I see this trend online where a lot of persons are talking about that there are nurses who are broke, and that is true. Some of us, we may take on a higher lifestyle and may have more responsibilities, and not having enough support, and it is true. All right, so Casey's asking me what about racism. Casey, wanna flag me over here? I'm going to say it is everywhere, every single where. And I did face some of that when I got here, because it's a rural area, and I think majority of it was based on the fact that when I started here, I think I was a second batch of nurses in my area, so they were used to persons who spoke differently from different backgrounds. Some persons were genuine may ask questions and it may come across of that as that, but I generally understand that they were just interested to know and to understand more. But everywhere you go, you're gonna face it, subliminally or in your face all over. You just have to know who you are and what you're about, because it's everywhere. And I think that's something that I also struggled with, because I wouldn't say it's I don't know if it was racism or it's because you came from a different country. Persons genuinely didn't know if you could do your work. It's like you have to prove yourself. And that's something that I struggled with too. So that may be one of my struggles. But every morning I got up and I went to work and I tell myself that, listen, I've been doing this for how many years? I know what I'm about, and I will show these people what I am about. So I think, but everywhere you go, it's like you have to be proving yourself, because it's a different country, a different system, so they may not understand that other persons from other countries may have the ability to do such thing, and it's some persons that may come across as that. I like your questions, guys. All right. So Kia, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. You're saying essentials when packing to migrate, and how much money do you need to furnish your apartment? So some essentials when packing is, please pack your clothes, carry your clothes. Don't be like me. Get you to go off farm. Say, when I come here and buy clothes, baby, I could hardly buy. Because when you come with that little money and then you realize the bills and everything, I could hardly buy any clothes. I say, I can't buy clothes and I need food right now. But please pack your clothes. I gave away tons of clothes. Don't do that. Maybe you have some clothes that you may want to give away, but don't give away most of your clothes. Because when you come, you're gonna need money for food, money for bills, money for furniture and all of that. So carry your clothes. That's one essential. I carried some pots and pans too, my little Dutch pots, because I didn't plan to buy anything. I have to save a little money. And other essentials that I brought. I brought food too. I remember when a nurse was on my unit, she would fried her fish and carry it. I would laugh at her, but I ended up have to do the same thing too. Because when you come in, you have to save the local money. Brought some food. I didn't bring like tin items, but like my seasoning and such on. What else did I bring? I had some blankets from back home, but and those are some essentials too. If you have their devices like your laptops and those things, you're gonna need that when the company is reaching out to you. So make sure you walk with those also. Fork and spoon, I carry some of those too in terms of essentials. So in terms of looking at essential, just look at some stuff that you can avoid to buy when you get here and when you're set straight and you have a more income coming in that you can purchase. So that's what I would see. And you asked the question when packing to migrate. You won't need any uniform from back home. You'll have your scrubs and those things when you get here. So those are some stuff that I would advise, especially if you have children too. You can carry clothing for your children and also stock up on your medicines. I brought medicines from back home. I found them to be very, they work. I think because our bodies is used to them, body used to them. I like that, and I also carried my teas from back home that I'm used to, because when you're here and you want to find stuff that you're used to, it made it a bit difficult based on the area that you're working. I dried my fever grass, dried my mint tea, and I walk with those two. Even though this is not an essential, make sure that when you're leaving, you do your local medical, you go do your local pap smear. I had friends who went and take out them teeth. When you come, that expensive too. So make sure you do every little check that you can do medical wise and make sure everything is cleared for you. So when you come, you won't have those issues. And make sure you do checkups if you have children also. And how much money do you need to furnish your apartment? So in my time when I left, almost near 4 years ago, the limit that they told us that we needed was 5,000 USD. 5,000 USD. Based on cost of living right now, I think we may need more than that. But I didn't have all of that. I don't know if I had all the money or not, but I was able to survive. So, in terms of furnishing your apartment, I didn't buy any new furniture. I heard about a thrift shop, which was Salvation Army, where persons brought in some lovely used furnitures. Some of them I still have to these days. I went there and I got all my furniture. I wasn't catering to impress anybody. I know where I was coming from, and I got furniture on my apartment, fully furnished with second-hand furniture. Didn't have any issues with them, with no chichi eat them, no, or anything. Strong material. And what I did also is spoke to the individuals at the thrift shop to say, hey, when you're getting such and so, when you're getting like certain things, and they would say, come Thursday, and I took their number, and that's where I got certain equipment. And when you go there, some of these things that people give away, you would be surprised. They're not they're my second hand, but them look literally new. Like if you take them to the street to sell, other persons would buy them. So you can buy your VC same material, big thrift store. Yeah. I tell people like I'm not here to impress anybody. If anybody was coming to my house, I would say to them, listen, I don't have anything. So if you go outside and say my house now I have nothing, I don't care, because I'm not here to impress. Tunnel vision. Tunnel vision. So that's how I stocked my place. And when you come here, that's another culture shock too. That's a lot of persons, they will buy second-hand items. We don't do that in Jamaica. We just we go to courts, take out with higher purchase or pay with cash. I realized that we don't do that in Jamaica. And where I was living, in terms of an apartment, they had this community. And when people were moving out, they would post up a sofa for sale, a table for sale. And some of these were some college students who were moving. And there's something that new, brand new, something are used. And you will get some nice deals. And a lot of the other Caribbeans, Africans, we were doing that. So in terms of furnishing your apartment, you can save a lot. And when I was furnishing up my apartment with all that, I don't think me pay anything over $200 for all of the stuff. I mean, well furnished. So you can do that also. There was something else I was going to say and I forgot. So you can do that, buy second-hand stuff, but in terms of mattress and those things, you'll get those new. But other stuff you can do that. Oh, when I came here, my liaison officer was very nice young lady. She and her family developed this. I don't know what we would call it, where they donated tables, chairs, and they even donated mattresses. And they had this little group that once one family came, you use that until you got all your furniture, because you can't buy furniture when you just come, it takes a while. Once you stocked out your place and you finish using that, you pass it on to the next family that came or individual that came. And I benefited from that. And then I passed it on to somebody else. And I totally loved that. And that made it much better. So if you had something like that in your area with your liaison officer or anybody else, that's something that you can do. But thrifting, that's what I do. When I went to work and I told people about how I got furniture, they were shocked. Everybody was like, show me where that there, show me where that there. And they were so sad that they went and bought the new ones, because here you have your things in for a couple times. People just throw them out. If it don't look good or it's not to their tasting, once they're moving, then just throw it out. But thrifting, I did Salvation Army, and they have some other thrift shop. And some people even went and bought clothes at a thrift shop show. And that's a very big thing over here where they do thrifting. Influencers, as they do it online, where they go through the clothes rack and buy some nice vintage items and wear them back. Yeah. So Kia was saying, wow, nice group. Yeah, that was a nice group. And I really enjoyed that. And she even had like a session once where everybody came together. We had like a little party. But she was no longer with us. She left the company, but we still keep on in contact with her. Very helpful, very nice. So, I wish if every person, when they come here, they will get opportunities like those. But as I said before, not here to impress, tunnel vision. You know what we are about. So we save and, try to live below our means as much as possible. Any other questions? No, something I want to touch about. I know that visa retrogression is in the air, and this is where they have like the visa pause, where they're no longer taking nurses or they have a backlog. I'm here to tell you that the process soon open. It's soon open. Things are going to get worse before it becomes better. My process came about when COVID-19 came and there was a surge in demand for nurses, and that's when the gate flew open. So you can imagine when the gate fly open again, that's going to be a massive migration for nurses, because I know a lot of nurses are waiting, and it's going to happen because it's going to reach a point where they're in need of persons and they have to fly that gate. I know everybody is contemplating whether to do something else, but just keep waiting on your process. Living in the western side of the hemisphere, especially Jamaica, it is much better for us, because I tell people all the while, I meet people from Philippines, so they're waiting for 10 years just to migrate to the US. And when I meet them, I say, boy, you're good, because I would call it off. I definitely would. But they sit and they wait, do other stuff, and I know it's so open, but just sit and just wait, and the process will be open. So what about career advancement? So this is a lovely question, and I like that. Career advancement is possible. Once you land, you can start your career advancement. The thing I like about over here, which I wish Jamaica had, is the possibility for individuals to go to school online and still be working. And I think a lot of persons will be advancing themselves way quicker. So that's one thing you can do over here. Most of the colleges and the universities are online, so you can be working and going to school, and you complete your courses online once you come home from work, or if you have a day off. And you just need money to apply, and just make sure you have your qualification, which is just your certificate, say you're a nurse or any other specialty. And you don't need a manager to sign off to say that, oh, you're qualified to do it. You do it on your own. So a lot of nurses are over here. They're nurse practitioners. I was trying to get some persons to come and talk to you. I mean, reach out to different persons in different specialties to come and talk. And you can also certify yourself in your area once you come here. So if you're in an area when you come, say for instance, med surge, and you're working with a company and it's 2 years, once you finish, you can certify yourself. You just do an exam, go to a physical location, or if it's online, and you get a certificate to say you're certified in that area. And that's career advancement. Anything we want to go into, you just need to have money. And if you don't have money, there are grants, and a lot of persons take financial aid. And that's something that you can do. If you don't want to do like go back to school physically, you can do certifications. There are different certifications that you can have, like if you want to become a BLS instructor and run your own business. So the career advancement, it is wide, and that's one thing I like about here. Unlike back home in Jamaica, you know that you have to go through managers, jump through a lot of hoops, you're on a waiting list. None of that here. And a lot of immigrant nurses, when they come here, a lot of them go straight up the ladder quickly. A lot of persons I don't know that have the doctorate of nursing, the PhD. So it is possible. So anywhere that you want to go, have an idea from the get go, or if you want to wait when you come here and then you just see the different areas. I know everybody's doing nurse practitioner. If it's not nurse practitioner, some persons are doing like CRNA, which is certified nursing anesthetist, nurse educator, and majority of these programs, except the CRNA, are done online. And there are various schools that you can utilize. So anything is possible once you come here. You just do it on your own and you use your money. Some persons pay out of pocket. And most of some schools, I would advise when you're going to a school, ask them about a payment plan. They will say that you can pay off your tuition for the semester, like over 3 months or a 5 month until the course is finished, and you just work and go to school. So that's the beauty of it. Also, I see a lot of persons when they come here, if you're not in nursing and want to go in nursing, a lot of persons jump into CNA. CNA is similar to like what we have in Jamaica as the practical nurses. Do you know that the CNA program lasts for 6 weeks, to my knowledge? Just 6 weeks. And once they finish, they can get a job in a hospital or a nursing home. And that's how easy and quick the system is. And I wish we had opportunities like that back home for persons to just do a 6 week program and automatically get a job instead of having them in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So there are so many opportunities there. So I just wish when looking at the model that you see here back home, if we can just open it up more, for persons who want to do CXC, you can go online and do your CXC, or go back to school, go back to university and be working, going to school and doing something that is online. Any more questions? I love the questions. I love the engagement. Thank you guys for coming and making this so engaging. I really love the questions and the different comments that we're making. And I always tell people that when you come here, like working as an international nurse, and I've said it to a lot of persons, and they look at me like, really? Consider yourself as at an advantage, even if you're not a nurse, to have the ability to work in more than one system and have an understanding of it. I always consider myself at an advantage because I know how to work in the Jamaican system. I know how to work in the US system. And once you're registered and licensed in the US system, it's an automatic entry for Canada, automatic entry for Canada, automatic entry for Dubai, automatic entry if you want to go to the UK. So it's endless opportunities. And the world is your stage. I know some persons may transition to other places. I know persons who go to the UK, move from the UK, come to the US. You're at an advantage, and you're so marketable right there. Right now, I wish I could take some contracts. I know for persons like in Australia, they do travel nursing too, as we do in the US. And there are nurses who leave and go to Australia and work for 13 weeks. I would do something like that. You're going to be paid for your job and you can vacation while working. Like on your days off, you go tour the place. I know they do travel nursing contracts for Australia and I think some places in Dubai also. Any other questions, guys? I know nobody did ask me this question, but do I miss Jamaica? Of course, every single day. I really miss my country, miss back home, miss the community, miss the culture, the work life balance and all of that. But I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have here. And, Jamaica still remain number one for me. A lot of persons may see me share stuff online with opportunities and migrating. But I'm a firm believer that if every single person in Jamaica has the opportunity to get an opportunity to go overseas, just to have the experience, our country would be in a great position because it does help with us in terms of remittances, and helping to alter poverty that some of us experience. But separate and apart from that, I really miss back home and I enjoy it so much that I travel. How many times I've been back to Jamaica? At least 3 times for the year. Love it, love it, love it. So sometimes when you see persons take a move, it's not because that they throw a stone behind them. It's because you want something better in terms of a career or finances, but we still have our country at heart. You know what they call me at work? They call me Miss Jamaica. Miss Jamaica, they call me at work. And I was going to say to write a letter to the tourist board asking, Jamaica tourist board asking them to meet me and an ambassador or something to work for them because everybody that's going back home, they're finding me, asking me places to live. Probably I need to put VC onto them because they're telling me where are the hotspots in Jamaica, where can I go, the hotels, and I'm there giving them. One person said they want me to carry them come to Jamaica. I said, me not having a space. The person was like, put me in a garage. I said, that can't work, brother. Can't work. So Kia was asking, you mentioned orientation rate. Right. So with any new job, once you start working, you're going to be paid at a rate you're going to be paid something called education rates. So you're not going to you see, when you start working with the patients clinically, that's when you're going to see your full pay. But because you're going to be doing orientation, doing modules and just learning about the hospital itself, you're going to be paid a rate at for orientation. It won't be the full pay. And I can tell you, see, I do that when I did my orientation and I got my paycheck. See me here? Like, what is and that is why I said the company during that time offered, gave me support in they gave it to everybody where they paid your first month's rent for your 2 first month rent. And they also gave you, I don't know if they gave you any other loans to help you during that period. Because when we see that money, we said no, no, no. So be prepared for that. That's why they said to have at least 5,000 USD because when you get your first paycheck, it may not even cover your rent. That's how low it may be. And then you start working after. So that's why you're going to need money from back home to help you during those first 2 to 3 months. So that's the orientation rate. Now, something that I can say to you that before I left Jamaica, I was working 3 jobs, probably 2. And I left my nursing job at the hospital first. I think I left it in February and then I had vacation leave and I was working part-time as a nursing instructor at a facility, one of Jamaica's best facility in terms of education, Heart Trust. And I left that other facility. So while I was on vacation, I was working and I worked. I left in March and I'll never forget that. So I left the first week of March and then I was no, I think I ended my contract, my work with them the Friday, the first week of March, and then I migrated the first week of the Friday of March, the first week, and I migrated Monday. So when I migrated, I was getting my paycheck from a hospital and the paycheck from my other second job. So that was 2 money coming in, and then I got paid from the hospital. So that's how I was able to stay afloat, and that really helped me. And that's something you guys can think about if you want to, to make sure you have enough money. And that's where I say always my mandate: work smarter and not harder. So that's something what I did, and that's an advice I would give to anybody. If you can find another job and pick up and try work, so when you leave, you have those paychecks coming in. Any further questions? I was thinking of something else that I could think about if we're here, because sounds like you're on the verge of migrating to. So we talk about career advancement, and we talk about culture shock, all of that. And something that I may talk about in some other videos is life after you finish your contract. The contract lasts for 2 to 3 years. Make sure you choose a company that gives you 2 years, not three, if you can. Life, when you're finished, you're free to move about to any state that you want to, and work on your own. Many persons, once they finish, they do travel nursing, where you work for 13 weeks and you get paid at a higher rate. And that's something you can think about. Many persons move on to invest in houses, either travel nursing, and just travel the world. And you can do it still while on your contract too. If you're planning to go back to school, I would say the best time to do it is while on your contract. That would be much better, because if you leave the contract and start working at a higher rates, you won't be able to get grants or aids if you're interested, or if you want to pay it out of your pockets. So that's something that you can think about also. And to survive, make sure you have your hobbies, find stuff to do. I'm on YouTube. I hear other nurses talk about it, that YouTube is literally saving them. It was my savior too, because mental health, not a lot of persons talk about that. I also struggled with that too, because I was very involved back home. When you talk about meetings with board and leadership, I was all over the place with that. When I came here, it was just work, home, work, home. And I literally came on one day and I just broke down and I said, this is not me and I can't do it. YouTube now helps me, because I could come on here, talk, find stuff to do to occupy your time. Because back home, we just used to come from work, and I was even share this with one of my friends. You remember we come from work and we just said, "Sure, what show a Carib today? We go watch one movie." And you still had time to go to Carib, go back home, sleep, and go to work the next day, or even go to the beach, go to a restaurant. Here it's not like that, because you don't have time once you come home to leave from work to do anything else. And that's why I tell people about your mental health. Find stuff that you love to do, whether you want to jump onto YouTube, content creation, open a business, and many businesses can be done online. You just need to do your research, ask for help with other persons who are doing it. And those are some stuff that you can use to occupy your time. And always remember to pay attention to your mental health, because anxiety and depression, very rampant, and it just creeps upon you out of nowhere. And you wonder, like, where did this come from? So find stuff where you can occupy yourself, and to just make sure that you have good mental health. Whether it requires you to go on a plane 3 times for the year, do it if that's what works for you. Any other questions, guys? Thank you so much for coming here. I think the live is going to be here after I finish it, because it's my first live. What I'm planning to do is to move into the live. When I have guests over here, what we're going to do is interview the guests live. So if you have questions, you can just jump in and ask your questions and get your questions answered. I pray when the guest is ready to come, that the time that they do it, that persons will be available. But the videos will be still there. Time is up beating me right now with some stuff that I'm doing, so I may have to move into that type of YouTube format. And big up to Casey, VC, and other persons that were commenting. Kia, I know Casey has her YouTube channel, so you guys can follow her. Casey Inspirational Tales. She's also from Jamaica, and she does a lot of inspirational videos, so you can follow her. And you can also follow Vibing with VC also. All of us YouTubers, and if you're watching this and want to be a YouTuber, jump in, share your stuff, and I'll share it also. The YouTube journey is not an easy one. It's a long road, but consistency is the one that sometimes that beat me. But I'm trying. But I try to support as much persons as possible, and I like to see when other persons are doing it, and we can share, especially the nurses. We're not just limited to the bedside and wearing white or just working in your scrubs. There are so many other stuff that you can jump into, but you just have to be willing to change. Thank you, Casey. Casey said, big up yourself. Big up yourself to Casey. So, guys, if you don't have any more questions, I think we're going to end at 9. So it's 8:55. So the next time I come on here, I may have another guest, and we're going to do a live with that so we can have more interaction. I know Kia was asking me some questions. Kia, you're from Jamaica. Let me know if you're from Jamaica. Oh, you're from Trinidad. Nice. Nice. Nice to have Kia all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, we forgot Trinidad and Tobago. It's two different, right? Two different ones. When I remember my geography, so you're from Trinidad. I love to visit Trinidad one day and start visiting all the other Caribbean countries. So Ava Carey saying, I love your accent. Yes, I'm here for it. Thank you guys. Thank you. The Jamaican accent. And I love the Trinidad accent. I remember I did a group project on that at school, and we were trying to talk in the Trini accent. Casey is asking, is a program available to CPNs or practical nurses? They do have programs for the practical nurses also. I know there's one agency called MedPro International, because it's just on the scene right now. I've not heard of persons who have transitioned as yet, and that is for US only. I'm not sure if they have made any transitions with it as yet. And I'm working on something with that, but it does take a lot of time in terms of, so everything kind of sees right now with regards to immigration, and that's the reason why. But I can say, like, for the practical nurses, if they're doing, if it's for if you're going with a particular agency, I know that you'd have to do some training with them before you leave, because based on research that I have done also, is that the program, so practical nursing is something that I want to talk about, so because I've spoken with someone and they were saying it's a loose term that is thrown around in Jamaica, because many persons don't understand the difference, and when they're comparing it with other countries, they think it's the same. So the practical nurse in Jamaica is the ladies, if you go to the hospital, the ones that wear pink and white or wear the blue, right? And practical nurse is similar to what you call the what's it called again, the CNA in the United States. But many states prefer the training to be done within their state and not outside. So that's an issue. Now, if you're going with a company, many times they will require you to be trained before you leave, even though it's a short 6 weeks program. So the boards of nursing are very strict in terms of that. And if anybody here is watching, I know I have started something with that in terms of helping the practical nurses for recruitment. That process is taking a while, and I spoke about immigration being the biggest issue right now. So if you're watching this and concerned with regards to that, that's the biggest issue that we're facing right now. I think, and I said before, people need to understand, is that once it's election times, a lot of things are tightening up and probably seized and put on pause. Many countries across the world now are going through elections or have been there. I think most of the first world countries have. I think UK had their election already. I don't know when it's Canada, but I know US election is next month. Any other questions? I thank everyone that was here, no matter how small or big. Everyone that took their time to be here. I try to have some more of these just to get to know persons and offer information and advice to others. So this is one reason why I created this page, because when I started my process, this was another culture struggle for me, Kia. I didn't have much people to ask. I always tell persons, Jamaica back home, a lot of persons leave, but it was like a secret society. Nobody was sharing information, nobody was talking, and I struggled a lot to get information from people. So when I started my process, I said, anybody who comes to me, I'm going to help you and I'm going to give you the information. Another area where I suffered a lot in terms of losing money was when I was ready to go to the embassy. um, you're going to be required to get some immunizations and also get some shots when you go to the embassy, and many of them are expensive, and that's back home in Jamaica. If you can find other ways to get them outside of different facilities for free, you can do that. Because when I reached my process, I said somebody could have told me this, and I did not know, and I ended up paying a lot of money out of pocket, and I couldn't do anything because it was last minute. And this is why I created this page. It's called Empowered RN, because I want to empower nurses globally across the world and bring information to them. And it would be an injustice of me to come on here and not speak about the other nurses that I used for support. So before I came on this platform, you had nurses like Itsubi who did her process already, and she was the only nurse who was sharing her experience online. Then other nurses started to come on board, and you had persons like from Jamaica too. Both these nurses were from Jamaica. A nurse like me, they were sharing content on Instagram and YouTube, and I was learning a lot from them. So I have to big up those nurses that I used to watch. And I then started too that I wanted to help other nurses too, because the basket is there for all of us. Everybody's going to eat, and it doesn't make sense to be selfish and not to share, and I'm a firm believer in that. All right, Casey, you can send me a message. I can link you up through VC and talk to you. All right, so Kia says, I'm also migrating. Congratulations. Channels like yours and others have been very informative. Yes, thank you so much. That's something else that I've seen here too. When I got here, a lot of us didn't have information, and a lot of us made couple mistakes. Something that I did when I was on my unit, I was the first person there, and when we others started coming, we started a support group. We had a little WhatsApp group. If I went to work one day and saw something that I didn't know, I post in the group and say, hey, this is what we need to know. Is that we had each other's backs. And that's how we operated and got through. It was so good to the point that other persons saw us and said, you see how they operate? They're a team. They support each other. And that's what I encourage. That's why I said, find friends, people who share the same views like you, or who took the same path from you. Because I have a couple African friends I learned a lot from, and they say, hey, this is where you need to go and get so and so, sharing different stuff, that you may not know if you did not have that support group. And yes, Avakiri, people are definitely selfish. And I always tell people that when you're selfish with the information, you're making it worse for yourself. I have my child, and I want to make sure that I help people. So when he gets older, persons can help him too. You don't know how your blessings is going to come. So you have to help people, whether it's information. And if persons reach out to me, I don't know if how many persons realize if you reach out to me and I can't help you, may I put you on to somebody who can help you. Or tell you like, genuinely, I don't know, but I'm going to ask and see if I can help you. It doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, we're all collecting the same paycheck. Unless you do overtime, we're all in the same job. So it's each one help one. And I said baskets are there for everybody. We don't need to hide. All right, guys. So it's 9:04. If you don't have any more questions, thank you to every single person that commented, every single person that came on here, sat down, and listened to me talk for so long. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're on YouTube and you're gonna do a live, shout me out from before I tell VC and Casey, do I look a premiere or advertise so I can just mark my calendar and sit down and pay it back forward? So thank you guys for being here. If you have any more questions or concerns, you can find me on Instagram, also on TikTok. You can send me a DM if you want to ask any other questions. Very open. I answer the questions I may not answer immediately, but every week I clear my inboxes and answer persons. I've been answering persons I think yesterday I answered somebody from Kenya. So I'm very open to that. Thank you guys so much for being here. And I think I'm going to end the live now if you don't have any more questions. And all the best to you in your endeavors, especially Kia, who is migrating. I wish you all the best and the success on your journey, and you'll be fine. All right, guys, I'm going to look for the button and press in stream. So have a great night and have a great rest of the week. Bye. I want you guys to leave first so it doesn't look like I'm closing my door like when you have visitors back home. Bye, Kia. Bye, Casey. Bye, Ava Carey. Have my name. Bye. Okay, bye. I'm going to press the button now.